With the major breakdowns in the defense of the University of Virginia Cavaliers against Pittsburgh, where do we go from here? This team doesn't look the same.
You are Locked On Virginia, your daily podcast on the Virginia Cavaliers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Viewers and listeners, I'm your host, Big Law Lawrence Johnson, and welcome to Locked On Virginia Cavaliers podcast, the first place to come to get your Wahoo fix every day. And of course, the date is 1/5/2023 with this new year going on. The news scene is hot as on sports as always. Before I get any further, I want to make sure there's good news coming from Damar Hamlin. They said that he's improving. The University of Pitt and Buffalo cornerback. So prayers to his family and his speedy recovery. But we're here to talk about the University of Virginia, the basketball program, and the Wahoos in general, sports program. So this is going to be something we're going to talk about, this basketball program, guys. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want to get too riled up over some of the things that I'm feeling right now, but because I was really riled up because I don't know what I was looking at. There has been a major, in my opinion, based off of where this team was, there's been a major setback based off of what we're used to seeing from this squad. Now, I don't know if maybe the concentration from the players isn't there. I know that Coach Bennett, Coach Williford, and the staff, they're on the job. That it's almost like a revert. They reverted back to what they were last year, the year before. Where they have defensive lapses, major defensive lapses, something I've never seen from this squad. Also, and this is something that we're all used to, long scoring droughts. But some of the other ones, you can kind of understand because they didn't have as many weapons. Excuse me. We have 5 players averaging almost 10 points a game. So there really is no excuse for this team to have this lapse in scoring. So, I don't know. I don't know where this team sits right now. They were ranked up to number 11, but in one poll, and number 13 on another poll. Of course, they're probably they've plummeted. I think they're in the 20s right now. I got to get the proper number, but I know they've plummeted into the 20s based off of the 2 polls, the AP and the coaches poll. But I don't know. This did not look like a Tony Bennett coached team. The basketball team, like I said, the major setbacks, in my opinion, meaning, what are the players thinking? And I think Coach Bennett is still trying to figure it out himself. He's putting in lots of different combinations of players. Typically, he would have that almost figured out because he runs such a tight rotation, a 7-person rotation. I personally think he's not when he's not using a player like Ryan Dunn, especially when defense is your calling card. I know that he doesn't have quite the offense, that you would want, but he doesn't get that many shots anyway. But his defense is, I think, exceptional. Especially as a freshman, in the way that he plays, his length, he gives them more versatility defensively. The person who I really love this player, and he came in blazing, but Bennett Vanderplas, I think they have to limit how they use him. I know that they were using a small lineup when they had Jaden Gardner at the power, Bennett at the 5. and you left Poppy Cafaro and Hayden Cedric on the bench, um, and you ran small. Now offensively, it gives you all kinds of versatility because your big man is also a 3-point shooter. Your power forward is a mid-range shooter who can also score inside. Both of them can score inside as well, but they can also stretch the defense in a lot of different ways that a lot of big men can't in college basketball, as a pair. Then you got, of course, Reese Beekman, Kihei Clark, and Amon Franklin as your other players. So it is solid on the outside, as far as defensively, but inside is where they're having troubles of trying to stop. I don't know the last time I seen a player drive to the bucket. That young man with the first name Nike um, drive to the bucket for Pittsburgh and just slam the ball like it was a video game. Right down the middle. Actually, he came from the baseline, drove to the middle, and just slammed the ball. Like I couldn't. I don't know if I've ever seen that. You know, anytime soon. Anytime in recent memory from a Tony Bennett defense. So Pittsburgh wins that game, 68-65, and in the fashion that they won that game was very disappointing to me. I don't know if I've ever seen a coach Tony Bennett team lose with a 13-point lead in such quick fashion, in the second half. Usually, people like to try to, mirror us to like the Boston Celtics from the 80s. If they had like a 10-point lead on you, it might as well have been 25 points because the way that they played you, they ran their offense. They had a special team defense where they covered each other. They played great defense, and they just ground you out, you know, throughout, the rest of the game. It was just so hard, and they were shot makers, the entire team, and it was just hard to catch up with them. So I don't know. Tony Bennett's defense also giving up over 40 points. In actuality, 45 points in the second half. Unheard of. Unheard of. You do have to give Coach Capel and the Pittsburgh Panthers basketball team credit for what they've done. They're 4-0 in the ACC, and there is something brewing. There's something going on in the ACC. I know Duke got destroyed last night by NC State, something that I did not expect at all. I don't know what's going on with Duke, but or North Carolina at that fact. But Duke absolutely got destroyed by NC State, and it wasn't even close all game. And then we're talking about UVA taking a loss against Pitt, which I said the other day with my guy Casey Pizzalia on the show. I said when you have teams that are supposed to be really good, surprisingly start to suffer, there's an upwelling of new talented teams that you're not necessarily expecting to be good. And in North Carolina, another team that's struggling. They wound up beating Wake, but UNC, the national champions from last year, was down to Wake, and Wake thought they were gonna. It looked like they were gonna pull off the upset. But it's a lot of odd things going on in college basketball right now. But I'm trying to figure out where exactly our team fits. We have shown some really good spark, especially at the beginning of the year, but we're going through a difficult lull, and Coach Bennett is trying to figure out how to I guess field the best team because the starting lineup is not set right now, and maybe because one person is hurt. Also, Miami took a loss as well. And I think Miami lost to, which they were, highly ranked. They beat UVA, and they took a loss. You can give me a second here. Oh, to Georgia Tech, which UVA beat the other day. So the ACC is going, it's topsy-turvy right now. I think Clemson is leading the ACC right now. So more things to talk about. But before we keep talking about the University of Virginia Cavaliers, BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds, trends for every professional and amateur league out there. From pro football to college bowl season to basketball and World Cup. We've got it all at betonline.net. If you love sports podcasts, you can even get them at BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info. Head to the website today or use the mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. We want to thank you guys for making Locked On Virginia your first listen today. Make sure you check out the brand new podcast, Locked On College Basketball. Everything you need to know about college basketball in one place. Plus, hear from the biggest name experts, insiders, coaches, and players. Locked On College Basketball, available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. So, yeah, everyone. Back to the University of Virginia and their play and their terrible, terrible loss to Pitt. And I don't want to dog, the Pitt program, not saying that they're not a good program, because they are. Jeff Capel, great coach, comes from a great line of, a great lineage, a line of coaches. His father, Jeff Capel Sr., coached at ODU. Jeff Capel, of course, played at Duke, and his brother played at ODU as well. So, at North Carolina. So you definitely have a lot of talent. About basketball lifers, family of lifers, and they're great coaches. And his brother actually coaches on the staff who played at ODU as well. So or North Carolina. So you're looking at a lot of talented guys that are that are making some good decisions, that were great basketball players. And I'm kind of feeling like Coach Bennett got out coached by them, which is something that you would almost never, and I mean never, hear me say about this coaching staff. I'm not I'm not gonna say that it's a regular occurrence, because it's not, but it's very rare that I'll make that statement, because I have so much respect. And then when I watch and cover these games, I can just see the adjustments. I can see what he's done to make things, you know, uh, or just to turn things around for his team. To make the proper decisions to get the defense and the offenses going in the proper direction. But the issue of the lapses in offensive scoring, those are things that will doom you. That's what doomed this team last year, the year before, the year before that. The team after the championship team. Just terrible, absolutely horrible scoring lapses. I'm not sure what to do as far as, this program, but I thought that they were over some of those offensive lapses. And the scoring, this team has quite a bit of scoring prowess out there. They can score points. They got, you know, four guys, who start, who can shoot from the perimeter. Kihei Clark, who, in my opinion, is having probably his best year as a Wahoo. He really is. He's having his best year. He had 15 and 8, I believe, Again, a 15-7 again, and he's just being the consistent general that he is. I call him the heart and soul of the team. The one player that I need him to step up, and that's just because he's injured, is Reese Beekman. Reese Beekman is an absolute stud on the program, but you can see he's still ginger, on that hamstring. His explosion's not there. Usually he's finishing above the rim, and some folks were saying he needs to be more aggressive, especially in crunch time, or more assertive. Maybe so, but it's a little harder for him at this point to be more aggressive or more assertive based off of his injury situation right now. Some people even were saying he shouldn't even be playing Reese, just because he just kind of feels like it's they should let him get healthy, about as healthy as he can get, and then um, bring him in when he's full strength. I'm kind of I have a coach's mind, so to speak, so I'm a little on the other side of that. If a player's healthy enough to play, there's a difference between like being seriously hurt or playing injured. All players, for the most part, play injured. It's just different, varying degrees of injuries. And if Reese is slightly hurt, you know, and there's all different degrees of being hurt. If he's slightly hurt, and he's on the mend, I think you put him in. But the thing about it, people have to understand as well, when you're hurt or semi-injured, you almost have to keep your body going. You have to keep stretching. You have to keep playing to kind of play through the injury, to keep the blood flowing. Sometimes, I mean, of course, if the injury is severe, you got to sit out, you got to sit down. But for something like a hamstring where it's tight, if you can move, you can run around, you can stretch it out. Not saying you do anything extreme, you got to keep that muscle working. You got to keep having the blood flow through that, the blood flow through that hamstring to heal it. So it's almost a double-edged sword. If you want him to just sit, and lose the condition, in that leg, conditioning in that leg, he could, and then he'd have to, work that leg out again. But, if you totally want him to just sit and rest, you got to keep them going. These are guys are like Ferraris. You got to keep your engine revved up and keep them going. At the same time, it's a double-edged sword. It's kind of tricky. You got to keep them. You got to keep them working as well. You got to keep their bodies working. So, yes, it's definitely a different situation. It's definitely a difficult situation that you have to deal with when you're talking about these athletes. But with this team, I'm not sure. News came out that Poppy was injured too. Francisco Cafaro, who is the big man, on the team as well. You have two big men. You got Cade Cedric and Poppy Cafaro. But Cafaro, he comes in when they really need the enforcer. He's the guy who comes in and kind of changes the energy. I call him Jack Salt Light. So whenever they bring him in, it's really to come in and like really bang heads, with the other person, get rebounds, play tough defense. And he always does that. But, he had an ankle injury and he's out. I wonder how long he'll be out, in my opinion. They really needed him. They could have used him because they got out rebounded, which, University of Virginia, they typically seal up, do a really good job of fronting and boxing out, on the defensive end, get the rebounds and walk the ball up. And that's another thing that I need to talk about. When the team is struggling, are you still going to continue to walk the ball up? In my opinion, I just feel like from a philosophy standpoint, can there be a little adjustment? I don't know. Looking for a delicious treat, but don't want all of the fat and calories? Then you got to go and try a Built Bar. We just got through the holidays, and I know the goal is to eat a little healthier this year. If you're like me, where you want to eat healthier but don't want to compromise your taste, then I got the thing for you. You got to try Built Bar. Healthy is actually tasty. Seriously, they are delicious. They are delicious. You won't think they're good for you. Perfect for your New Year's resolution. What makes Built Bars good? Well, for starters, they are all covered in 100% real chocolate. That's right, real chocolate. And they come in unbelievable flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, coconut almond. I'm not sure how Built Bar does it, but these bars taste like candy bars, while maintaining amazing macros. And that's even better if that if they are healthy. Only 130 calories and 4 grams of sugar for a whopping 17 grams of protein. And now you don't need to wait around to get a box. For years we've been talking about ordering your Built bars or at built.com. Now you can get the local at Sam's Club. You can go to locally at Sam's Club and get your Built bars. That's right. Head to your nearest Walmart today, walk to the pharmacy section, and grab yourself a box of Built bars. You can pick up a 4 box of cookies, cream, double chocolate, and coconut puffs. If you're close to Sam's Club, run and grab a 13-bar box with our hit flavors brownie batter churro. You can thank me later. How about that? Built Bar. They are good. I had some Built Bars myself. They sent us some to sample, and they're really good. I got to give them credit. I want to see how they do it when they make them that good. But if you are a person who would like to try to venture into like healthier eating, it is like eating a kind of a healthy candy bar, but it has a lot of grams of protein, not that many calories in it. But moving on to the next game, of course, they do have Syracuse coming up this Saturday. I believe that one's at the JPJ as well, and I'm gonna try to make that game. And if and Syracuse has been an alright team, and that's a 5 p.m. game, and is it a must win game? In my opinion, I think all games in the ACC are must wins, but I think they can do it. Of course, they're coming off of a win. Hold on one second. They're coming off of a win against Louisville, barely a win. Louisville, surprisingly, one of the worst teams in the ACC. I think they've only won 2 games so far this year out of like 12 or 13 games, but they barely beat Louisville the other night. And, they're going to come in with that zone, Coach Boeheim, and, they're always going to play that tough defense with those long, athletic guys. So that game's at 5 o'clock on the ACC network. Make sure you guys get to your local listings to check that game out this Saturday. But I don't know. Syracuse will be in town, and we'll get an opportunity to check that out, and we'll discuss and we'll go over all the things that we have to go over. But yeah, let's keep this thing rolling. And Coach Tony Bennett, what's your next move? I've always said they need to play some up tempo. When we get into slumps like we do, and it's not anything new for this program. After this championship team is almost, it's almost become almost a guarantee that you're gonna have a lull. They got up by 13 points, shooting the lights out, and then all of a sudden, I think what happens is the offense bogs down the energy of the team. I just think, if you don't shoot, if you don't have like national championship caliber shooters, you got to run the ball some. You got to get some easy buckets to keep the rhythm and continuity going, on the team, on rhythm, when we're talking on the offensive end. It'll also help the energy for the defensive end. Keeps the guys more alert. playing in the game. But that's just what Coach Johnson says. So, but like I said before, we'll see what happens. They got Syracuse this weekend, and I'll be there. Hopefully, I'm looking forward to it. But thank you again for making Locked On Virginia your first listen today. Make sure you check out the brand new podcast, Locked On College Basketball. Everything you need to know about college basketball in one place. Plus, hear the big name experts, insiders, coaches, and players. Locked On College Basketball, available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Thank you guys for listening. I'll see you tomorrow.